The question I have, when I started reading this, I'll go ahead and read some of the statements from Sandra Day O'Connor. It says, because the prayers at issue here are government speech, we hold that Fredericksburg prayer policy does not violate Turner's free speech and free exercise rights. Likewise, the requirement that prayers be non-denominational does not violate the Establishment Clause. Now, so what they had to do is they had to make it determine, was it private speech or government-sponsored speech? Well, it was government-sponsored speech. It was something that the government did it turns out, because of the tradition of it, is something that's just part of the city council meetings from the very beginning. But they said it's government speech. So it says that government can have prayer speech, but it's not wrong for the government to regulate the content. Well, under federal law, it may be so. It might be so. What I did, the persons who were representing Mr. Turner, Councilman Turner, it was the Rutherford Institute. I gave the Rutherford Institute a call. I invited them to have somebody come on the radio, but I asked them, why did you go to federal court? Now, this is what I was thinking. I'll tell you, if there are any activists listening, please listen up. If there's anybody who is a freedom activist who likes to take things to court, listen up. If you have friends or lawyers involved in that, if I've got anybody from Regent University of CBN or William and Mary or anybody around here, Christian Legal Society, ACLU, please listen or call your friends. And I'm stalling right now so you can have them listen to what I'm going to say. I realized, and I've been thinking about this, there's this thing called judicial restraint, and it's biblical. It is biblical. You do not want men who are corrupt, vicious, and degenerate to just be haphazardly making decisions of right versus wrong. That's why there's legal process. That's why you take care of the technicalities first. And if it can be thrown out on a technicality, do it. Why look at the minutia? Why try to make a decision of right versus wrong if you don't have to? If it's not fitting within the regulatory norm, it's probably wrong. All right? Unless you can find a good reason to go into it deeper, it gets taken care of with the technical issues. So you don't have to go. In fact, you're not supposed to go to the constitutional question unless you can first deal with the regulations or the statutes or whatever. It's called judicial restraint. And I understand it because men are corrupt. And so let's keep men out of the decision. People with good, solid minds have, without passion, have made some rules and decisions when things weren't, when nobody was upset by anything. And that gives us guidelines to go by. And that's what keeps peace and order in our society. So, but what's happening in here, and in the Bible it says, Jesus gave us a teaching. If you're offended by somebody, go to them directly, just quickly. And he says, make it right with them as soon as possible, or else they're going to drag you to the judge. But if somebody will not hear you, you take 2 or more witnesses and you go to them. And if then they will not hear you, then you go to the bigger governmental intervention thing. You say you treat them like a publican and a tax collector. You turn them into those big machines of criminal or civil justice or whatever, but you try to take care of it on a small scale as quick as possible. But what they did here is they went to a federal court over a Fredericksburg City Council issue, as if there were not laws in Virginia that could deal with this. In fact, and they're going to email the complaint, a link to the actual complaint so that I can read it. But I asked them, why did you not go to a Virginia court? And I presumed, and I want activists to listen to this, that they were really trying to stir up contention real fast. They were going to stir up a lot of passion over this issue. They want to go straight to the Supreme Court. That's where they want to go. Well, guess what? That's dysfunctional. It's dishonoring the federal Republican format of our government. It's an offense to our government structure, and it's going to undermine liberty of our posterity. Please listen to me. It's going to undermine the liberty of our posterity. I want people to start being responsible. If judges have to use judicial restraint, lawyers and activists, let us have that same restraint. Let us use that same peace and faith that God will turn the heart of a king whichever way he wants. And let us start at the near term. Let us start at the local level. Let's change the hearts of the city council. and the local circuit court judge, and then the local appeals court judge in Virginia, and the local Supreme Court judges who are influenced by they get their job by our delegates, those who we and our localities put up in Richmond to serve us, to make sure that the law is rightly applied. We are undermining our liberty when we start bringing in the national, it shouldn't be national, it's supposed to be federal government, federal courts, and on a Fredericksburg City Council issue. Why not call in the UN and the World Court? Why not? Let's go big. Now, and the reason why I say this is, in Virginia, if you read Virginia Code 57-1, it would have shown that there was a better argument, I think, is that since it was government speech, it was a government practice, it was part of the city council members, each are allowed to pray by the faith that they have, and Turner may have a better faith than everybody else. He may be more effective in his prayers, who knows? But if you would read Code of Virginia 57-1, it's the Act for Religious Freedom. It describes that we should not be incapacitating people because of their religion, particularly their Christian one. And they use the term civil incapacities. And in a Virginia court, had he claimed, hey, they're giving me a civil incapacity, I am not allowed to act in that role like all the other city councilmen. And if you read the Virginia Constitution, Article 1, Section 16, it says it's a mutual duty of all to practice Christian love and forbearance. It's a Christian state. We have Christian laws. That's why we love our neighbor as ourselves. That's why we tolerate all faiths, because we're not going to coerce by the sword people into Christian faith. We're going to love them there.